What's going on, everybody? UFC Fight Night Shanghai. Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang is taking place this Saturday. Actually, for me, it's taking place this Friday at 12 o'clock at night. It's going to be a late one. But it is taking place very soon, and it is Thursday, so it's time for me to go through all my picks and predictions for every fight on the main card. Let's get right into it. All right, the first fight that we're going to be talking about is one second.
Tailake Nuerji.
Tailake Nuerji. All right, the first fight we're going to be talking about is Tailake Nuerji versus Kiefer Crosby. Now, this fight, bit interesting. Kiefer Crosby is a bit of an interesting guy, right? You know, he came into the UFC a little bit late in his career, had some fun on Bellator, another Bellator fighter who goes into the UFC and gets submitted twice immediately. And now he's getting an unknown prospect who's very likely to KO him. Now, Kiefer Crosby has some fun boxing, he has some fun scraps in Bellator, some good fights, but one of his most fun fights, he lost. Okay, and even when it looks like he's winning, he's taking a lot of damage, and then he gets in the UFC and gets submitted twice. So, yeah, not really high on Kiefer Crosby. And then if you go look at Tailake Nuerji, you look at his fights on previous promotions, he is a killer. Very, very fun striking, a lot of power, really eager to inflict damage. Kind of a scary guy. I wouldn't want to fight him. I wouldn't want to fight any of these guys, to be fair. I probably would lose to Kiefer Crosby. But yeah, Tailake Nuerji, he's probably going to KO Kiefer Crosby. That's my pick, is I'm going to take Tailake Nuerji to finish Kiefer Crosby. I want to be generous and give him, give him the first round, think that he can survive through the first, but I'm not really feeling it. I think that Tailake is probably going to finish him in the first round. Kiefer Crosby is really eager to box, and he gets damaged a lot. He takes a lot of damage when he's boxing. He does have some power in his hands. He does, he is a fun striker as well, but Tailake Nuerji is going to take him out. He's going to take him out. He's going to damage him, hurt him, and I'm imagining a TKO round one. Now, this is interesting thing. When I was looking at Tailake Nuerji's fights, he has 3 canceled bouts within the last year. 2 of them are from injury on his side, and then one of them is a fight that was supposed to happen in July, and I think it says canceled for unspecified reasons, so I believe it was canceled because he's taking this fight now here in August, and he wanted to prepare for Kiefer Crosby instead, is what I would imagine. But yeah, 3 canceled fights. Interesting that the UFC went and got him after he's had 2 canceled bouts in different promotions for injury, but maybe it was one of those buy low, sell high moments. No one was high on him because he keeps canceling fights, and the UFC is like, hey, come to the big show. We'll give you 10 and 10. Anyway, Tailake Nuerji probably gonna get this round one finish. Let's see what happens. I'd like to see Tailake Nuerji win. It'd be fun to see his style in the UFC, but you never know. The GOAT Kiefer Crosby might get it done. No, I'm joking. Of course, Kiefer Crosby's gonna lose, and he's not very good, and he is 100% gonna be cut from the UFC after he loses this fight. Sucks for Kiefer. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. All right, the next fight we're gonna be talking about is Sumadarji versus Kevin Borjas. Now, this is a fun fight. This is a really fun flyweight scrap. Sumadarji's coming off a split decision win over Mitch Raposo. Some people thought that Mitch Raposo got it done. I can't remember what I thought on the night, but looking back on it, Sumadarji did outstrike him, and Mitch Raposo's doing a lot of grappling with no damage. So, that's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's always going to be, that's always what's debatable in judging, especially to the judges themselves, is what is grappling with no damage versus damaging your opponent. I say damaging your opponent is a lot more effective in a fight and should be scored as such. But you never know. Some people feel differently. Anyway, Sumadarji's coming off a split decision win over Mitch Raposo, and then it's a loss to Charles Johnson. To be fair, in that fight, he did give Charles Johnson a bit of trouble. I thought Charles Johnson was going to run through Sumadarji, and it was very close. Sumadarji had a lot of success. And then other than that, I think it's a submission loss to Tim Elliott, which we're learning is okay. It's okay to lose to Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott's not terrible. Or is he? I don't know. We'll see. And before that is another loss as well. So he's on a 3-fight losing skid, and then came against Mitch Raposo, had a split decision win. But these are all pretty good fighters. Oh, it's Matt Schnell. How could I forget? how could I forget his absolutely legendary battle with Matt Schnell, where he hurt him so bad and could have had him finish multiple times, but Matt Schnell ended up pulling off the triangle submission and sleeping Sumodarji. How could I forget that? Anyway, Sumodarji hurt Matt Schnell a lot in that fight, almost got the finish and then fumbled it and gets submitted. That win doesn't age too well. I mean, now we're learning it's kind of cringe not to knock out Matt Schnell. You're kind of a bum if you don't KO Matt Schnell brutally. You don't touch his chin and he explodes. That means you have actually no power. You're not capable of hurting someone. I mean, look at Steve Erceg. He KO'd Matt Schnell and is yet to KO anybody since, or hurt anybody since. Matt Schnell's chin is just made of wet tissue paper. Sumodarji not KOing him out cold is kind of cringe. Anyway, Kevin Borjas. He's coming off a win over Ronaldo Rodriguez. He kind of fraud checked Rodriguez. People were super high on him after his fight with Ode Osborne at the Sphere, where he lost. He lost that fight. I want everyone to know that he lost that fight. And then Kevin Borjas just kind of beat the crap out of him while Ronaldo did absolutely nothing and got beat on. So I don't know how you rate that win. Kevin Borjas was at least able to put that beating on him, is skilled enough to put that beating on Ronaldo Rodriguez, but I don't rate that win very highly. And then he has losses to, I believe, Costa. He got TKO'd by Costa, and then he lost the decision to Joshua Van, but that was his first fight coming off of the Contender Series, UFC debut against Joshua Van. That was a fun fight. Borjas actually dropped Van at one point in that fight, I believe in the first round, or maybe not in the first round. I just remember he did drop Joshua Van, but Joshua Van absolutely destroyed Kevin Borjas with ripping to the body, and he really deserved that win. But Joshua Van, your debut, we're learning, is very, very tough. That is one of the toughest fights you could have gotten your UFC debut. But I like Kevin Borjas. I like his striking. I believe he's the underdog in this fight, and I'm gonna take Kevin Borjas to get the win here. I think he could. I know there's the grappling disadvantage potentially. Sumodarji might be able to take him down, but I'm liking this on the feet for Borjas. I mean, Sumodarji's able to be hit. He's got really good striking. He's not it's not underrated striking at all. He's got good striking, but I think Borjas is more of a one-dimensional striker, and Sumodarji's a little bit more well-rounded than Borjas is. But I don't know. I see Borjas as an underdog, and there's something in. I got a feeling. That Borjas could get this done. I think that Borjas could get this done by decision. So that's gonna be my pick. Is Kevin Borjas to defeat Sumodarji by decision. I believe I'm getting plus money on that. I could look stupid. I could look very dumb. I think that Sumodarji could make this look easy, but I think if we go to a decision, I'm feeling Kevin Borjas could get it done. I'm okay with looking wrong on this. I just got a feeling, I look at my boy Borjas in his last few fights. I was rooting for him. I just like his striking style. I mean, that Joshua Van fight was very fun. I'm going with Borjas. I don't care. I'm not thinking about it too hard. Kevin Borjas is going to defeat Sumodarji by decision, and that plus money. Yeah, let's do it. Anyway, on to the next fight. All right, the next fight we're going to be talking about, Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I'm actually very hyped for this fight. This is a very fun fight. Salsa boy Waldo Cortez Acosta. I've been kind of rocking with him on his come up. I mean, he's kind of shot up the heavyweight division rather quickly. I mean, well, maybe not quickly, but he's always in a highlighted matchup. I mean, Rebelis to Spain, Sergey Spivak, and Ryan Spann, and just his last three. Those have been higher level matchups, and everyone's been paying attention to him. He did lose his last fight. He did win a robbery against Sergey Spivak, and it was one of those things where they set him up with Sergey Pavlovich really quickly after that fight happened, and it felt like the UFC was upset with him at that performance. Sergey Pavlovich is the punishment they're sending towards Waldo Cortez Acosta, and it's a really tough fight. I mean, Sergey Pavlovich is coming off a loss against Alexander Volkov, but other than that, he was KOing everybody. I mean, he got KO'd by Tom Aspinall. He's on a two-fight skid technically. Not technically. He is on a two-fight skid against, losing to Tom Aspinall and then losing to Alexander Volkov. But the Aspinall fight was short notice, and that was one of those fights where somebody was getting KO'd. And then Alexander Volkov just kind of showed that there is a path to be able to shut down Sergey Pavlovich over 3 rounds, technically, which Volkov did really impressively, but Volkov's looked great. He just beat Gane. I'm ignoring the results of that because Gane did not win. Even Dana White after was like, we'll do you right. We'll do right by you, Alexander Volkov.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
But yeah, no, Alexander Volkov's very good. I mean, they had trained in the past, so I think part of it is you have to not be terrified of Pavlovich's power and know how he's going to fight. So Volkov had an advantage there, I felt like. But other than that, he KO'd everybody. I mean, he walked through Tai Tuivasa, walked through Derek Lewis. He's a scary guy. He was definitely a scary guy in the division, and going up against Aspinall, I had thought that he would actually beat Aspinall, but nope. Aspinall's much more skilled. Anyway, in this fight specifically, this is going to be a stand-up affair. Cortez Acosta has the ability to grapple, but it was against like Robelis dos Spain that he used it the most, and that is somebody you have to grapple. I mean, Austin Lane was able to grapple Robelis dos Spain, and we know how good Austin Lane is. Not. But yeah, Walter Cortez Acosta, really fancy boxing, technical boxing, goes through a lot of decisions, not really getting finishes. And that is what is factored into my decision. I believe that Sergey Pavlovich is actually going to knock out Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta's very tough. He's taken a lot of shots at heavyweight and hasn't been finished. And he gets finishes up. I mean, he just did finish Ryan Spann. But other than that, he usually goes to decision. He doesn't have a ton of finishes in the UFC. And I think this is going to be on the feet. And I think on the feet, if you're giving Sergey Pavlovich 3 rounds to box with you and you're not going to knock him out, there's definitely a significant power difference. I believe that Sergey Pavlovich is going to be able to find that knockout eventually. He's usually a round 1 KO guy. I think this might be like a round 2 TKO. I think we're going to see Acosta outbox Sergey Pavlovich a little bit, but then as soon as Pavlovich lands, there's going to be a clear difference in the power and the damage is what I think. And when Pavlovich lands, he's a finisher. So I think he's going to land on Acosta. He's going to hurt him bad, probably round 1. Acosta's tough enough to get through that. But I think round 2, Pavlovich is going to hurt him bad. Acosta's going to cover up, and then Pavlovich will either get the TKO or he'll find that shot that puts him out cold when he's teeing off. But yeah, I got Sergey Pavlovich. I'm pretty confident in this pick. It really feels like the UFC sent a punishment towards Waldo Cortez Acosta, and I feel like that punishment is going to be fulfilled. I think it is written in the stars that Sergey Pavlovich is actually going to KO Waldo Cortez Acosta for us all, for the fans. A lot of people were mad at him after the last performance, but yeah, I'm taking Sergey Pavlovich by knockout, round 2. I mean, we'll take TKO, KO, either one. I think it'll be a TKO, but that betting line says the same thing. Anyway, we're taking Sergey Pavlovich, TKO, round 2. Easy money, easy money. I believe this is probably favorite. Well, it's probably round 1 favorite. I think Pavlovich is definitely the favorite, but I don't know, to be honest. The betting lines have been weird lately, so it could be. I'll see when I'm editing. Anyway, that is the pick, and let's move on to the co-main event. Not looking forward to this 3 a.m., 12 a.m. card. All right, the co-main event, a highly anticipated matchup between Brian Ortega and Aljamain Sterling. I've been looking forward to this matchup for a long time. I know we all have. We've all been waiting for this matchup. As soon as Aljamain went into the 145 division, as soon as he moved up, everyone was talking about this matchup, and I think it's a good one. It's a very good matchup, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm taking Aljamain Sterling. I hate Brian Ortega. I don't know what it is about him. His face, the way he talks, the way he fights, everything about him frustrates me. I just don't like Brian Ortega. I never have bet him to win a fight. I knew Diego Lopez was going to run through Brian Ortega. I absolutely knew it. That was one of the most confident picks I've ever had in the entirety of my UFC watching and picking career, has been that Diego Lopez would absolutely whoop Brian Ortega and he'd beat him easily. Mostly because I don't rate Brian Ortega very highly. He seems kind of like a victim. I don't know. It's some fighters I just feel like are usually the victim, and Brian Ortega is one of them. I mean, he put up a good fight against Alexander Volkanovski. Well, not a good fight. He had Volkanovski in a tight submission at one point, so I guess that makes it was somewhat close at a moment. But other than that, he was getting beat on. He got beat on by Holloway, beat on by Yair until Yair just felt pity and let him win. I swear to God, that's what that fight felt like. That felt like Yair just felt pity after beating the crap out of Ortega and then just let him get the submission on him. I'm forever confused at the outcome of that fight. I have no idea why Yair got submitted by Brian Ortega. It looked like he was, or you're playing a game with a little kid and you're like, oh, there you go, buddy. You got to win. You're doing good. Don't quit. Don't cry. That's what it felt like. It felt like pity. And I don't like Brian Ortega. I just, there's that bullshit thing you was talking about with the eagle. That's like the most frustrating 2 minutes I've ever seen in my entire life. You ever get a chance to watch, like, try to make it through that video of Brian Ortega talking about how he's the eagle or whatever.
And for those who don't know, what the eagle does is the eagle die, smash feet against a rock till it die.
They both have very, very good grappling. That is Brian Ortega's, jiu-jitsu is his thing. Aljamain Sterling's thing is his wrestling. Very good wrestling from Aljamain Sterling. Sterling has just gotten better and better since that old controversy with Piotr Jan. He's just looked great in his fights. That Calvin Kattar fight was very fun to watch. Well, I mean, some people were bored, but not me. It was very fun to watch Aljamain Sterling dominate Calvin Kattar because I knew I knew Aljo would win that fight as well. And then his fight against Movsar Evloev. On the night, I felt like Aljamain won that fight, but I mean, I was a little bit biased. I wanted to see Movsar lose, especially after that Arnold Allen fight. But yeah, I think Aljamain Sterling's better. I think his wrestling's going to be more dominant. I think he's smart enough not smart enough. He plays it safe enough not to get submitted by Brian Ortega. I think Aljamain's going to be welcoming and initiating the grappling from from the beginning of the fight. I think he's going to feel no sort of intimidation or fear when it goes to be when it comes to being on the ground with Brian Ortega. I don't really see him worrying at all about the submission threat, and I think he'll be able to dominate him. I think it's 5 rounds. Jeez, yeah, okay, it's 5 rounds. That gives Brian Ortega a slight edge in the fact that he has more time to look for a fucking Hail Mary submission. But otherwise, I think this will be a 50-45, 49-40, 46. I don't know. Yeah, it'll be 50-45, 49-46. Either that. Aljamain Sterling's going to absolutely dominate Brian Ortega. On the feet, Brian Ortega's short, and he has some boxing-ish, but he's just, small. Aljamain Sterling throws long kicks. He's not going to be worried about getting taken down by Brian Ortega, so he's going to be able to throw those weird body kicks he does and head kicks and mix it up and kind of do what he wants on the feet. And then he's going to take him down and get him to the ground and dominate. I don't rate Brian Ortega highly. This is 100% a biased pick because I just don't like Brian Ortega. And I become a fan of Aljamain. As soon as he lost to Sean O'Malley, I think a lot of people sort of changed their mind about Aljamain Sterling. I think everyone hated him after the Petr Yan situation. Then he dominated Petr Yan in the second fight. And then we're like, oh, okay. And then he went on his little run, and then it became a thing where like, oh, maybe this guy's one of the best bantamweights of all time. Then he loses to Sean O'Malley, and it's like you can't really hate on the guy anymore. It's kind of like, all right, he's fun. He's a good fighter for sure. He's kind of funny sometimes. But yeah, I'm taking Aljamain Sterling by decision. I would hope. I haven't looked at the odds of this, but I would absolutely hope that Aljamain Sterling's the favorite because what is Brian Ortega? I'd put Aljamain as a minus 300 favorite. I don't think Brian Ortega's got shit on Aljamain, but this is biased as hell. Anyway, that is my pick. Let's go on to the main event. All right, the main event. Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. Zhang Mingyang. They do it confusing over there. Their first name's their last name. They list it weird on the UFC, so you never know. I think it's Zhang Mingyang. I think that's the right way. But that's the let me paint you a little picture. It's going to be 5:30 a.m., almost 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to be absolutely exhausted, maybe a little drunk, maybe a little wired off energy drinks. We'll see. But no sleep. That's the main thing. Going to be running off no sleep, and I'm going to be sleep deprived and tired, and then Mingyang Zhang is going to absolutely knock out Johnny Walker in the most cartoonish way possible. And it's going to bring all the joy and life into my system. I'm going to have one last spike and then sleep. But this is written in the stars, guys. Mingyang Zhang is going to KO Johnny Walker and add to this goofy highlight reel of Johnny Walker getting KO'd. It's really frustrating to watch Johnny Walker because I was watching back in the COVID era, and I was oh my gosh, this guy is cool. Whoa, Johnny Walker, all these highlights, man. This guy's huge for the light heavyweight division, man. This guy's got to be good. Then he gets KO'd by Jamal Hill in the goofiest way I'd ever seen at the time. That was like the first time I'd ever seen one of those weird KOs where he just like a cartoon sort of inflatable arm tube man type of KO. And then you're just like, oh, so you're able to knock this guy out. He doesn't seem as scary anymore when you're watching him get knocked out like that. Then he submits Iwan Kutalaba, and you're thinking, oh, this guy's back. And then he TKOs Paul Craig in an amazing fashion. You're, oh my God, Johnny Walker is so back. He can't get KO'd. That was just a fluke. He just sometimes, chinny. And then he goes to Anthony Smith fight. He looked so weird in that fight because he tried to fight so technical. There was none of that surprise explosivity from Johnny Walker, and he was fighting Anthony Smith. That should have been an easy highlight reel KO. He should have easily flatlined Anthony Smith. But instead, we had a weird, composed Johnny Walker throwing leg kicks and sticking to the game plan, which is nice to see, It's nice to see someone evolve that way. But part of his thing is he needs to be explosive and surprising and awkward and, get those KOs. And we also got that weird moment where Anthony Smith said, "You're attacking my family." What? Yeah, that was fun. At least we got that out of that. But then that's the last time we've seen Johnny Walker win. His next fight was a no contest against Magomed Ankalaev, where he was looking decent in that fight. We can admit that he was looking decent. And then I was upset with that illegal knee. And then the weird commission asked him where he is. And when Johnny Walker said the desert as a joke, and they're like, nope, he's not good. He can't fight. And then he gets KO'd by Ankalaev in the rematch. And then he gets KO'd by Uzdemir. I would love to say Johnny Walker is back. I would love to see that y'all must have forgot performance from Johnny Walker. But against Mingyang Zhang, I'm just not really seeing it. As soon as he fights somebody with power in their hands, he tends to get knocked out. That's kind of what happens. I mean, he beat up Paul Craig, who's fluctuating in between middleweight and light heavyweight, and Paul Craig is the Michael Johnson of light heavyweight, submits Magomed Ankalaev and Jamal Hill just to lose to Johnny Walker and other random fighters, So that win is not crazy good, and a decision over Anthony Smith is low-key looks bad because you should have KO'd him. Submitting Yuan Kutalaba was good though. Mingyang Zhang is very, very strong, very composed boxer, super heavy hands, really nasty finishes in his last 3 fights. Branson Ribeiro knocked him out. Tokos on, I think, Road to FC, brutal knockout over him. It's his time. It's Mingyang Zhang's time. He's only 27 years old. It's time for Mingyang Zhang to get the KO, and I'm thinking he's gonna get it round 1. I don't really see this. Look, I didn't pick decisions all this time. Be happy that I didn't pick a bunch of decisions. I think this is gonna be a fun main card. I'm thinking Mingyang Zhang's gonna knock out Johnny Walker. He's gonna KO him, and it's gonna be goofy or it'll just be sad. The Uzdemir one was goofy and sad at the same time. Watching him, he was TKO'd and finished, and then watching Uzdemir land that last follow-up shot that just sends him stiff. Classic goofy fashion, but just made my stomach hurt because I'm like, oh, his brain is soup. His brain is soup. And now Mingyang Zhang is going to punch that bowl of soup and just leave nothing left in Johnny Walker's skull. There already was not that much to speak of. Now there's going to be quite literally nothing left. And Johnny Walker will need to be medically cut from the UFC because we can't keep doing this. This is a crime. It comes to a point where it's just criminal negligence to let Johnny Walker get into the cage and get KO'd again. He was already KO'd brutally on the regional scene. He was knocked down by a 17-year-old in sparring. There's so much footage of this grown man getting put out. It's not, it doesn't sit right with me. It's not something that should keep happening. Anyway, that is the pick. It is going to be Mingyang Zhang by KO round 1. I believe that's most likely going to be favored. I think at this point we've all kind of accepted that this is what's going to happen with Johnny Walker. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised. But it would be fun if Johnny Walker had a fraud check moment and y'all must have forgot. I've been fighting in the UFC forever long. I'm going to fraud check this up-and-comer just got here. It'd be really cool to see that, but I just don't see it. Johnny Walker's getting KO'd. Too chinny. Way too chinny. Too chinny. Anyway, so that is my picks for UFC Shanghai. Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. That is all my picks. This fight card for me on the West Coast, it's starting at 12 a.m. on Friday. Well, technically Saturday, but it's basically Friday night. I'm going to be live at 12. I'm going to be getting off work. I'm going to be done working. We're going to get straight to it. I'll buy a couple energy drinks. It'll be a fun time. So go ahead and check out the stream. I'll be live right at 12, right at the fight night, right at the start. I'll be already awake, so there's, I'm not missing that first fight. And we'll be all the way live all the way until 6 a.m. until we see Johnny Walker get KO'd brutally, and then I will crash and sleep for a day. But anyway, check out the stream. I'll be streaming on both Twitch and YouTube as usual. And then on Monday, I'll have my video reaction to everything that happened on the main card and results of the predictions and everything. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all on Saturday, aka Friday night. Peace out.